Hey friends, this is an issue I couldn't remain silent about. I was highly disturbed at what I saw Annika Schleu do during the Olympics, during the modern pentathlon. Now, the modern pentathlon is the sport where there's 5 events, and it's swimming, it's running, it's laser shooting with a pistol, it's fencing, and then it's equestrian jumping, horse jumping. And just right off the bat with this, running's okay. Running's one thing, swimming's one thing. But then you have fencing, you have laser shooting with the pistols, and then you have the equestrian, the horse. Friends, to even get involved in this sport, I call it the country club sport. You have to be financially elite to even have access to all this. I mean, think about it. How many people do you know have access to first class fencing gear, shooting gear, and a horse with, all being able to do all those jumps? So the event itself kind of turns my stomach because I'm more of a person that, the events where everyone tries, or like, where poor people and middle class people and rich people all try, and then you have the best of the best. But then during this modern pentathlon, you don't have the best of the best in society. You have the best of among just the elite rich people that could actually do it. So, and Annika Schleu, I don't know about her financial background, but friend, she sure seemed like an elitist when she was on top of that horse during the modern pentathlon. Now, for those of you that don't know, Annika Schleu, she was in first place out of 5 events. They did 3, and she was in first place. And now it was the horse jumping. Now there was this horse. His name's Saint Boy. Now Saint Boy, he had an issue with the rider before. Annika draws the same horse. It's not her horse. They don't bring their own horses. There's like a group of horses, and you're assigned a horse. And that, people point to that being a problem. However, don't be misled. I read from horse riders that are really good that shouldn't matter. Like, you should be able to ride a horse. If your horse is capable, it doesn't matter if you just known it for 20 minutes. You should be able to ride the horse. And so you see that during the Kentucky Derby sometimes. You see jockeys that fall off, and then you have jockeys that step up. Now, they might have more than 20 minutes, but like a substitute jockey happens sometimes at the Kentucky Derby, and sometimes they're very successful. And what it takes to be a Kentucky Derby jockey is it's a lot harder, a lot more horse skill than it is to be an equestrian jumper. So anyway, my stomach's kind of already turned at this equestrian, this modern pentathlon that has this equestrian. And another reason why my heart's kind of turned about it with this equestrian, the horse jumping, friends. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but it's bad for horses to jump. Horses aren't made to jump. They're not created by God to jump. They weigh far too much. They're not like deer. Deer will jump over a fence to eat your tomato garden, but they're light, and they have hops. Horses aren't like that. Horses aren't meant to jump over gates and these logs that you line up. They're too big. And when they jump, they land on their front legs. So all their body weight and the body weight of the rider is all on their front 2 legs when they land. Now, when you see a horse, their legs really aren't very thick compared to the rest of their bodies. And then when they're supposed to jump in the air and land just on 2 of them, that's why a lot of these horses in these equestrian jumping, they end up with knee problems. It's not fair for the horse. Now, another issue is the bit. The bit that Annika had on this horse. Now, I didn't go over the bits that all the equestrians, I was just looking at Annika. That bit was a gag bit. Those gag bits cause horses pain. And that's what they're designed to do. People are saying, well, you whip a horse and that hurts the horse. Friends, horses feel a lot more pain from bits than they do the whips they feel. Now the whips do cause pain. I mean, if you think about it, people will say, oh, that doesn't hurt a horse. Friends, a horse can feel when a fly is on its fur. If it can feel a fly that's on its fur, You don't think a whip's going to cause pain? Now, I know these whips are dialed down, but what causes the horse the most pain is the bit that you shove in its mouth, and then you use the reins and you pull back. That's what causes most of the pain. And you can see by the horse's face that Annika Schleu, she was misusing this bit, this race. First of all, if you go through the race, in the very beginning, the horse doesn't, is uncomfortable with her because she's uncomfortable with the horse. Now, I'm not a horse expert. I love horses. I'm not a horse expert, but one thing I do know is that horses read the rider. And if a rider's uneasy, the horse is going to be uneasy. You know, horses have a natural reaction to take care of the person riding it. They don't want you to fall. I mean, when, when I was a kid, I rode this horse. Well, I didn't ride the horse. I walked with the horse. And, I was a little off balance a couple of times. And I was so amazed that this horse seemed to like take its own responsibility, its personal responsibility was to keep me on its back. I mean, it would like maneuver every time I got a little off balance. I mean, I was very impressed with the horse. Horses are like that, and they read you. And Annika, she was emotional before she even got on Saint Boy, and he read that emotion. You can't be like that. If you're on the verge of tears or anxiety before you even get on the horse, you shouldn't get on the horse. Bad things are going to happen. And that's what happened because the horse can read your emotions. Saint Boy could tell that Annika was mad. And then when you see her riding, I'm not an expert rider, and it's hard to see all the subtle moves, but it seems like she yanked back, not yanked, she pulled back on his bit more than she should have, which caused the horse more pain. And you could literally see pain in the horse's face throughout her ride and beforehand and afterhand. He had pain in his face, and I think it was because she was causing the bit, and it was causing him pain. And then there was these moments where it seems like the horse would go back and she would pull the horse back. And if you have a horse, the universal horse language, if you have a rein, pull back, the horse is going to back up. If you kick the horse, it's going to go forward. That's what they're supposed to do. But sometimes it seemed like Annika was like a little confused about what she was trying to do. Like the horse would be backing up, and then she would just keep on pulling it more, like back it up more. But then she would kick it, trying to get it to go forward. After she just tried to get it to go backwards, and the horse would get confused by this. So she had a pretty awful riding. And friends, that's what happens when you have a country club elite type of people that they do these hobby sports, and then they combine these hobby sports, so they're not really masters in any of them. And then you go to the Olympic stage, and who's to pay? Annika's a big crybaby. She is crying, and I don't use crybaby lightly, but she was bawling, and it made me sick to my stomach out of all the pain she caused that horse from yanking back on him, all the pain she caused that horse, and she's crying because she lost a gold medal. We are duty bound, I think, friends, not to hurt another animal so that we can have a gain. Isn't there a moral responsibility to that? And we should not, first of all, we shouldn't hit something else. We shouldn't want to cause pain on another living being. But why would you cause pain on a living being that can't hit you back? Annika, why don't you try riding a bull? That's what I think you should do. Forget about horse riding. I think you lost your privilege to ride a horse. And you know what? For all the equestrian games, get the horse out of it. Put a bull in there. Let's really see who the good riders are. Because I doubt any of them could ride a bull. But that's horse racing. That's natural for the horse. Not going around jumping over logs. And friends, this Saint Boy and Annika, they were going through the course, and even though she had anxiety in the beginning and the horse felt that, they were doing jumps until the horse went and jumped, and mistimed the jump. Now, I think this was Annika's fault because they're the ones that are supposed to time the jump. But the horse, he caught the log. He ran into the log when he jumped. So he made the jump, but he knocked over a log. That hurts. I looked into this equestrian sport, and what I've learned is it hurts the horse when they run into the log. So you had the horse that it's painful anyway for it to jump altogether, and then it hits the log and that hurts. Then you had these bits and you're yanking on the bit, and then you're yanking, and then you're kicking the horse to go forward after you just yanked it to go back because it was back. It was backing up, and you yanked it more, and then you kicked it. And I'm just thinking, you don't know, what are you doing? This is what happens when someone has to learn fencing, when someone has to do a pistol shooting, when someone swims and runs and does this horse. We, they're not masters at any of these. And it's really a shame because let's just cut to it. The modern pentathlon. Let's take a look at these athletes compared to the athletes across the board in the other games. Why don't their bodies have the muscular conditioning structure that the top runners had, that the sprinters had, that the wrestlers have, that the soccer players had, that the basketball players have? Because it's a country club elite sport where it's not the best of the best when you take a lot of people. Because it's only a few people that can actually do this, that have the money to do fencing, the pistol shooting, to have horses. So you get these people that they're not, I don't think they are the best of the best, and they're elite, and that's why when you have this elitist thing going on, and after you've done all this to the horse, you start to cry because you lost a gold medal despite what happened to this horse. This horse is the victim. Annika, you're not the victim here. You had a bit that was painful to this horse, and you used it excessively to what I could see. It seemed like you used it excessively. You had a failed jump attempt. You're kicking the horse. Your coach actually bumps the horse. You're whipping the horse. You're doing all this stuff, and you're having all this anxiety before you even get on the horse. How in the world can this be the horse's fault? And if you think I'm being too hard on Annika, I'm not. She was given an opportunity to apologize, and she said that what she did was not cruel. Friends, her failure to win a gold medal was not on that horse. Her failure to win a gold medal was on her. And from what I've read from people that know horses a lot better than I do, is that would not have happened to someone that truly loved horses and understood horses. But now that I'm on the subject, first of all, I think the equestrian games needs to reform. If horses are getting damaged knees on a regular basis because of jumping, then why are we jumping? Why do we have that? Turn it into a race. Okay, turn the equestrian games into a horse race. You can have the modern pentathlon with the horse. That will show who the better rider is, not going around in a circle jump. Bring your own horse to race, okay? But anyway, we need to have reform. And I say, my first thing would be to just get the horse out, remove the equestrian games. It's not good for the horse. Horse racing's okay it's natural for a horse to run. Horse racing is okay. Now barrel racing, there's some bad tales about barrel racing. But back to horse racing. Here's an issue with horse racing. And I didn't know this till I looked into the Annika Schleu, and it just opened up a web of just stuff I looked into. Do you know that there's horses? Even though horse meat is illegal in the US, that we ship horses that don't quite make it at cheap auctions that end up going to Mexico and Canada to be butchered for horse meat. Isn't that sickening? In our nation, we said that you can't do that to horses. But people are doing that to horses. They're just doing it in different nations for horses that were born here. For every horse that we see at the Kentucky Derby, or at the Preakness or the Belmont, there's thousands of horses that didn't make it that end up being abused. My solution is keep horse racing, regulate it, make sure the horses have bits that aren't hurting them, but regulate it. But in order to be a participant in a race, judging on how prestigious the race is and how much money's involved, I think a portion of the fee to enter the race needs to go to the horse industry in purchasing and establishing this horse park for horses that don't quite make make it in the horse, the rejected horses. It's not right to breed and breed and breed and breed and just destroy the horses that don't make it in the hopes of that one horse that will. And that's what's happening. Horses are being abused, and some are actually ending up in slaughterhouses. And that shouldn't happen. That we should regulate when a horse is born, it should be regulated, and a horse that doesn't make it, if an owner doesn't want it anymore, the horse industry should have a park funded by horse owners that do these events where they can spend the rest of their lives. If we're going to make money off of an animal, then it's our moral obligation to take care of that animal. I'm not a member of PETA, okay? I'm not I'm not an animal rights activist, but we gotta do what's right here. If you're gonna make money off an animal, you need to take care of that animal, and you need to take care of all the failed attempts to make animal money off the animals that you failed at. And that's not what's happening in the horse industry. So, friends, I hope I hope you hear what I'm saying. I hope I wasn't too all over the place. You know, friends, I'd be happy if the horse races, if we just went back to the Native Americans. I mean, Native Americans, they were probably the best on the horse, right? I mean, they didn't need all the stuff that we seem to need now to be able to control horses. So there needs to be funds to help these horses, and there needs to be for them to live without being auctioned off to people that are going to abuse them. I mean, if you auction off a horse for too cheap, the person's person may end up taking them to a slaughterhouse. So we need to be there needs to be a place where horses that for the horses that don't quite make it. And as far as regulations go, I would like to do a study on. I think it should be studied how the Native Americans were able to make their horses do all kinds of crazy stuff without hurting them. Why can't we use some of those techniques today? Why do we rely on some of these bits and these horses? Now, when the horse is running around a track, we don't have to worry about that bit with them. But for some of these rodeos, we do, and definitely for the equestrian sports. But it really rubs me the wrong way when someone's involved in all these social club sports, and then they're crying, bawling, and claiming a horse blew their chance for a gold medal. Annika, you blew your chance for a gold medal. And you blew your chance at handling this situation with character, with integrity, and with class. Friends, thank you. God bless you.